In this video, we are going to talk about the terminal and very few commands. We have to start talking about the terminal because we are going to use it right away. You are learning how to write code. Writing code is one thing, running code is another thing, right? So when you're trying to run the code that you wrote, you are going to use the terminal. All the time. Absolutely. We live in the terminal, in the command line. So initially, when you're learning the first few videos, right, there is a run button or a play button. It looks like a play button. It means run. You click it to run your code, but eventually you're not going to do that. As a professional, you're not going to do that. Everything you do is in the terminal. And I understand the terminal or the command line is intimidating to most people. It really is, right? Understandably, because I know where I was. So I just want to get started here, just with the very basic ones. These are the commands we're going to look at, just file navigation, because initially the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go find the file that you need and run it. And that's a lot of confusion there, like finding it, going there, right? Going into the directory. So we're going to just do that. Just keep it basic. You must be going through the roadmap, right? And the roadmap, it tells you, hey, go watch the command line course. So there's an entire course, or at least a whole section in a course, which is like detailed command line, pretty much every command that's in here. So you definitely have to do that. But now, since this is early in the course, I just want to quickly go over the basic ones in case you've skipped that, you didn't get to it, or something like that. I really do advise that in your engineering toolbox course. If you're doing this on my website, if you're taking the course on my website, there is engineering toolbox as part of your program. So there is a whole tutorial on the terminal. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. But now you understand the reason. The reason is because we are going to use, there's no way around it. You can't be like, I don't want to use terminal, I'm just going to use the graphical user interface all the time. That's not an option. All right, so let's just get started right into it, right? So I'm going to do this on a Mac. I'm going to do another video on Windows. So, but if you are a Windows user, I definitely think you should watch this, because this, whatever we do on a Mac is pretty much what we do in Linux. And, you do want to learn Linux. All right, so here is terminal. I have terminal open, right? I'm using the actual application called terminal. I have another one that I use. It's called iTerm, right? This is another one. It looks pretty much the same, but it's not. You look at the name showing up right here in the corner. It's called iTerm. It's called terminal. And I use iTerm because I like iTerm. You're totally fine using terminal. If you're on a Mac, it automatically comes with Mac by default, so you can definitely use it. The reason I brought it up, there is another one, is I want you to understand this terminal, the UI we see here, is just one program. Right? It's just a UI. And then inside of the UI, we'll talk to it in a language. And that language is called shell. It's a shell language, S-H-E-L-L, a shell. In this case, by default, Mac runs Z shell, but there is bash and there is other kind of shells. So I want you to understand the little window and the actual commands we are going to run are not related. This little window here is basically just a user interface. It's not the actual language, even though it's always black, but the background is black, configurable. You can change it to any color you want. I'm sure in movies and stuff, you've seen it being blue a lot. It looks fancy. So this is just a background. One way to look at this or to think of this is like a browser. We all use different browsers. Let's talk about Firefox and Chrome. Right? Those are two popular browsers. Firefox and Chrome, they are different brands, they are different applications, but we use them for the same exact purpose. What do we use them for? To browse the web, to connect to the internet and go look at websites, right? Whether you are on Firefox or you are on Chrome, you're going to do the same thing. HTTPS, www, blah, blah. Right? So the different applications, but you use them to access the web. So the same thing here. The application itself are different. If you want to configure them, if you want to change the background and things like that, you're going to do it differently. But the commands you're going to run, the shell you're going to run, that is the language, and it's always going to be the same. Whether you use terminal or iTerm or anything else that you want to use, the command themselves are going to be different. Even in IDEs, we're going to talk about IDEs later on. This is the application we use to write code. Inside of the application itself, this particular one is Visual Studio Code or VS Code. We're going to install that later in the course. Even here, there is a built-in terminal. So we can hide it. Usually it comes hidden like this. You open it and you have a terminal, right? It says terminal here, and this is a command line. We can add another tab that's open, so it's brand new. So this is a built-in terminal. So it's a different application, but the commands are exactly the same, right? So that's point number one. You have to understand that. Very important to understand. It doesn't matter if you have a standalone terminal like this, or if you are inside of an IDE and you have the terminal open inside of the IDE. Yeah, this is a different terminal, but the language we're talking to, the commands we're going to run inside of it is the same. Again, it's like having Firefox, having Chrome. right? I say that because I get a lot of questions from students. I'm like, oh, when I open the terminal in my Visual Studio Code or PyCharm, something is happening. But if I open the terminal on its own window, something is happening. And the questions usually make it seem like they're not related, like they're two different applications. Yeah, they're two different applications, but the way we use them is exactly the same. So that's point number one before we even get to actually using it. All right, so now when we go to the terminal, what the terminal is for us to tell the computer what to do. Normally we use a mouse to tell what the computer what to do, right? As soon as we turn on the computer, we want to go to a file, we want to go to an application. Yeah, there are application shortcuts and things like that, but normally we go to Finder, right? We go to Finder and then we go look for the folder we want or the directory or the file we want. We go to Documents, click on this, click on that, or we go to Desktop, click on this, click on that, click on that. We get to where we want to get to. That's the whole point. The first thing we open is the Explorer, then we navigate to the file that we want, to the directory or the folder that we want. The terminal is the same thing. You open the terminal and you navigate to where you want to go. So, but right when you open it, it takes you to a place. By the way, before I get to there, mine looks like Admas and blah, 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 blah. This is configurable. I just configured it that way. So it will show me where I am. I have like, it could look like this. It can look like that. It might have the full username plus the computer name, or it can look like there's something weird. All of that is configurable. This is called a prompt. So the prompt is configurable, just so you know, because yours is going to look different. You probably have the default one. Just don't worry about it. You're just going to type right in front of it. It's not going to matter for us. Okay. So I just want to bring that up. So as soon as you open a terminal, I can open a new one, a Command T, like a new tab, right? I open the new tab. It's going to put you somewhere. Where is it going to put you? Whenever you see this tilde, you see this little icon. It's called the tilde. It's right next to the number 1. That is a sign that says homepage. Yours might not have it. So when you open Finder here, usually it will start, like mine for some reason, it starts at recents. It might restart at Admas, like the homepage. So the home directory. So if you go to Go and you go to Home, that is where you are, right? Let's say that. So in the terminal, that is where I am. And how do you know where you are? Okay, now we'll start looking at the commands. The first command we're going to look at, so I'm going to give you the link here. You're going to go to references or cheat sheets and you'll find it, but I'll put this in the description. The first command we want to look at is pwd, present working directory. So in pwd, when you do pwd, it will show you where you are right now. Right now, you are in users admas directory, just like we are here. Okay, we are in Admas. So here we can visually see where we are, so we know where we are, no problem. But here we have to ask it, we have to give it a command. So the way commands work, you type something and you hit enter, right? So normally you would type something, let's say pwd, then you put space if you want to give it more options. Pwd does not take options that we want. We can look at the next command actually. Now we have the next command is ls, to list out. You say, hey, list everything that's in the current folder. So you find out where you are. Where am I right now? Oh, I'm in user/admas. That's where I'm at. Okay, what's in here? So you're going to do ls. Same thing in the UI, in graphical user interface. You see this part highlighted, so you know you're in Admas. And right away, without doing anything, you see everything is listed here, so you know what's inside of here, right? So, but in the terminal, in the command, you have to command it to show you what's there. You have to ask it to show you what's there. And what is the command for that? ls, right? So we just did that, this ls command. So we learned 2 commands right now. Now we have the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do ls-la. So when you have a command, you give it a space and you can give it other options. Sometimes you do dash something, sometimes you do dash, 2 dashes, sometimes you don't do anything. What I want you to know here is there's a command and there are options or like modifiers, right? You got to tell it additional information. I was just thinking about that. How do I connect this to like real life stuff, right? Let's say I'm going to give you a command to cook something, right? I'm going to say, hey, cook. Cook is the command. Then I have to tell you more information, right? Cook what? What are the ingredients? I might even give you the ingredients. I can say cook. I can say pasta, meatballs, right? I can give you a list. So cook will be the command. That'll be the first command. Then I'll put a space. That's important. So spaces are extremely meaningful here. So ls is a command. Then I do space and I give it an option. Like I just say cook, space, pasta. What am I cooking? And a bunch of other things, right? It depends on what the command is, what it's expecting. You might tell it what to do, or you might even give it stuff. So to use, I can say cook, I can give you onions and I can give you tomatoes and potatoes. So you can use them. So you have a command, you have a space, and you have additional information. So -l-a modify the ls command. So how do they modify it? Normally you use them at the same time. So let me clear this. To clear the screen, I'm going to do clear. I'll just clear it out. So ls, we saw ls, right? ls gives us multiple columns. It will show us everything that's in there. But I can't tell if this is, each one of those things are folders, directories, or their files. I can't. If I was doing it with the UI, with my eyes, I can tell this is a file, this is a folder, folder. This is a file, this is a file. I can see that, but the ls does not do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it an option saying, hey, give me more details. ls space, what's the next option? I'm going to give it -l. It just means long. Give me a long way of doing it. So it's just going to give me more information. Hit enter. Now I got, it's the same result, but with more information. Now I know if it's a directory or not, because everything that's a directory, like a folder, it starts with a D. So if it says a D, it's a directory. If it just have a dash, it's a file. I know that. Okay, now I can tell what is what. And there's more information. We don't need to get into this, but owner and permissions and things like that. The file size, when was it modified, and things like that. This is Linux stuff, right? You're going to learn that later. We don't need it right now. What I want you to know is the command. So ls shows you what's there. -l gives you more information. Let me clear that. Another option I can give it is ls-l-a. When I do a, it just means show me all, and it shows me hidden files. Here, you see how this all the dot files, dot something. Earlier they didn't show up, okay? Earlier they didn't show up. Now, because they're called hidden files, and when you go to the UI, they're not going to show up here. They don't show up. You have to change the configuration. If you hold Command Shift period, yeah, I see how all the hidden files showed up. So if you're on a Mac, if you do Command Shift and period at the same time, all the hidden files show up. I'm going to hide it back, the same Command Shift period. So in the terminal, if you want to see everything, including the hidden files, you do -a for all. Let me clear that. So normally what I would do, as just as a habit, I do ls. Instead of doing -l-a, you can combine it to -la, right? All the options at the same time. If you do that, you get the same thing. You get everything and you get a detailed information. Okay, so two most important things. pwd, look at where you are right now. ls, get a list of what is there, right? The next thing is you want to know how to change directories. cd is change directory. You want to go inside of that directory. So here in the UI, okay, I'm an admin, I can see what's here. Oh, there's desktop here. My files are in desktop. I want to go to desktop. So I'm just going to click it. If I want to go to it, I can click it, or I can double click it. If I double click it, it would open it on its own, right? So I can just click it so I can see what's inside of it. Desktop, then I can see, oh, inside of desktop there's another folder called other. Inside of other there's a bunch of things, right? I can keep doing that. In the terminal, so here visually I clicked on desktop so I can go to it, right? So in the terminal, if I want to go to it, what I'm going to do is cd, change directory. I can see by doing ls-la, I can see there's a folder called desktop. Now I want to go into it. Okay, so let me clear. I'm going to do cd, the command is cd, change directory, space. After the command, you have to give it information. So you do cd space, and what information does cd needs? If you're telling it change directory, you got to tell it where to. Where am I changing to? In this case, I want to go to desktop. Hit enter. I'm in desktop. The prompt I designed, the way I designed my prompt is it shows me the current folder. Once you go to the desktop, what are the 3 commands we learned so far? First, you want to know where you are. You already know where you are, but if you want to know where you are, pwd. I want you to be in a habit of using those commands. I chose those particular commands on purpose because I want you to really get familiar with them. pwd, present working directory. It prints out where you are right now. And the next command is ls. You can do ls, it will show you what's in there. It shows you there's like those ones, you can't even see them right here. When we go to desktop, we only see other. So ls shows you a little bit of more things. This recycle bin, desktop data init, like those are like hidden, but this is kind of weird actually. I did not expect that with ls. The other folder we see, but if we do ls-la, we're going to see, I like this view much better. You're always going to see dot and double dot. Just ignore those, they're just always there. Then you see the other and a bunch of hidden files. The .dsstore, .localized, those are hidden files. And how do I know they're files and not folders? Because here it starts with a dash, not with a D. Whenever there is a D, I know this row is a folder. Whenever there is a D, I know this row is a folder, okay? So now what do I want to do? Let's say I want to go into other. On the UI, if I want to go inside of other, I'm going to click on other and I'm in there, right? I can see what's inside. So, but in the terminal, I have to change directory. So I'm going to say cd, other, hit enter. Very important tip, you don't have to type the whole thing. You see what I did? I just typed the first letter and I hit tab and it will finish it for me. It will go as far as it can guess. And if there are multiple names that start with the same letters, it will just go to as far as it can go, and you give it another letter and you hit tab. So hit the tab key. When you're typing, always hit the tab key. That's why you were able to type super fast. So cd other, I went in other, And now if I want to know where I am, again, we're going back to the same commands, right? I want you to have this in front of you. pwd ls cd. Those are the ones we're learning. Okay, so now if I do pwd, it's showing me where I am. It's saying users, admins, desktop, other. This is where you are right now, currently, right? So visually you can see, because highlighted, I can see where I am. But in the terminal, the only way I know where I am is I have to ask it saying, hey, I have to command it saying, hey, tell me where I am. So you're going to command it saying pwd print working directory. Working directory means current directory. And it's say, then I want to know what's in here. If I do ls, it's showing me a bunch of things inside of other because there is so much stuff here. Now I'm going to create a new folder in here in other. I'm going to do right click, new folder. I'm going to say command line tutorial. Another pro tip, a very important advice I'm going to give you: when you're naming your folders and files, don't use space. I promise you, it will save you a lot of headache and time in the future. Just don't put any space in the name of your folder and your file. Here, you see how I named it? I wanted a space in there, so I put underscore. Instead of just an empty space like that, I'm just going to use an underscore. Never ever put a space in your names. It will save you a lot of headache in the future. Trust me. All right, so I create a new folder. Inside of that folder, let me create a few more. I'm going to say dir1, directory 1. More formal name is directory. I have a habit of saying folder, but as an engineer, you should say directory instead of folder. dir2, and let me just do one more. dir3, right? Directory 1, directory 2, directory 3. Now, let me clear the screen. Let's say if I do pwd, I know I'm in other. I'm inside of this other. How do I go to this command line tutorial? I'm inside of other, so I have to go back out from other. I want to go inside of desktop. Then from desktop, I can go to command line tutorial. This is the tricky part, right? I'm inside of other. Here, if I'm doing it with the UI, I can just click it, right? I just click it, I'm there. Like no problem, because everything is in front of me, I can see it. In the terminal though, you have to navigate. You have to tell it, turn right, turn left, go this way, go backwards, then go the other way, right? So now since I'm inside of other, if I want to go to the command line, I have to come out of other first. I have to go into desktop first. So here I can see I'm other. So to change directory, what's the command? cd. Right now, I can't give it the name. If I give it the name, let's say I want to go to desktop. If I say go to desktop, I'm going to get an error saying no such file or directory. Because if I do ls and other, there's a bunch of things. There's no directory. There's no folder called desktop in where I am right now. Right? To go to desktop, I just have to go backwards or up one. So the command for that is cd ... If you do 2 dots, it just means go backwards, right? I went from desktop into other by doing cd other. Going forward. If you want to go backwards though, you're just going to do ... go backward. So if I hit enter right now, I'm back in desktop. If I do pwd, I'm back into the desktop folder, right? So that's important to know. Now if I do ls, let me do ls-la. Now we got other like earlier, but we also have our new file command line tutorial. So now I can go into command line tutorial. I can say cd command, right? I don't have to type the whole thing. Now if I hit tab, you can see my hands are free. Hit tab, it will finish it for me. Then I hit enter. Now I'm inside of that. If I do pwd, it shows me where I am. Let me clear this. pwd, it shows me where I am. If I do ls, I see all my folders. dir1, dir2, dir3. Now I have a question for you. How do I go inside of dir2? Let's say I went to command line tutorial. I want to go to dir2. I want to go inside of there. So how do I do that? I'm going to do change directory. I want to change directory. cd, where? dir2. And if you want to go to desktop, you're going to hit back, right? So I'm going to go forward. I'm going to go to dir2 because here in the terminal, I am in dir2. If I do clear pwd, I'm in dir2. So if I want to go back to command line tutorial, I'm going to have to do cd and go backwards like that, ... to go backwards. So dot usually means just here. It's not that useful. And most of the time, I mean, in this kind, when you're navigating, it's not useful. But when you're trying to run a command, there are times when it's very important to say dot. It just means here, current. ... means backwards. Okay. So I'm going to go to cd dir3. Now I'm inside of dir3. If I do pwd, I'm inside of dir3. If I do ls, there's nothing here. I can touch file3.txt, something like that. Now let's just, if I do ls, it's there. Now let's say I want to go back to dir2. I can do cd. I cannot say dir2, right? If I do dir2, cd dir2, hit enter, it says no such file or directory, which is fine. You're going to get this quite often because you're going to forget. So every time you see no such file or directory, whenever you see this command in your head, you always have to think about where am I right now? Can I really go there? So if I do ls, I'm trying to go to dir2, but when I do ls, there's no dir2. So from where I am right now, I cannot go straight to dir2. right? So whenever you get this error, you're going to get it a lot. You always just think about, okay, where am I? Where am I trying to go? Right? Do I need to go backwards before I go there, or can I go directly there? So in this case, I can't just jump from dir 3. I'm inside of dir 3. To go to dir 2, I have to go backwards, and then I have to go to dir 2, right? Same thing. So I have to do cd backwards, then cd dir 2. Okay? But you can do it in one line if you want. So you can do cd, you can say backwards slash dir 3. Now I'm in dir 2, I jump straight to dir 3 because I'm telling it what to do. I'm telling it go back out, then go here. I can do it multiple times. I can say cd, back out once, back out twice, now go to other. Because what I did is I'm inside of dir 3, right? I went back once, back twice, then go into other. So just know that navigation. I know this video is getting a little longer than I wanted it to, but I'm just explaining everything in detail. So just understand the fact that if you want to run a file, you have to go to where it is. The reason I'm covering this here is we're going to write a Python file. Then we want to go execute the Python file. We want to execute it from the terminal. You have to go to where that Python file is so you can run it.